Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast interview. On today's show, I am pleased to have Gary Graves, co-founder, CEO of the new, recently rebranded TotalCX, formerly Interactive Tel. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. It's a pleasure to be here.
Gary, I've been fascinated with the growth and the technical expertise of Interactive Tel over the years. We're going to do a deep dive into the focus of your new company. Why did you call it TotalCX? And I think that will set the stage for the future vision of your tech stack and the services that you're going to be offering dealers.
Great question. CX or customer experience should be holistic. And Total is the great way to express that. Our vision is to encompass all aspects of customer interactions, despite the channel, despite the department, 100% all inclusive. So Total CX captures that vision.
Well, one of the more exciting things that I've done this year in 2023 is the publishing of the CDP research report in automotive. And early on in the report, I quote a research firm that said, in any industry, the companies that focus on customer experience as a primary focus, really like it defines who they are, have a 300% total return on the stock market over 10 years, 300% better return than people in the same category that do not focus on customer experience. What do you think, Gary? We're still 2023, this focused on 30-day cycles, move the metal, hit the number. The customer experience, well, not that important. What's unique about automotive retail that it's been so slow to change practices that obviously aren't designed to increase the customer satisfaction and experience?
Well, they say old habits die hard, and automotive retail is a numbers game. It's always, units sold, gross dollars. However, it's our belief that the focus should be on the customer. I think a lot of times the research as to why the numbers may be decreasing happens as a post-mortem process. So the numbers went down, why did that happen? And then they may identify some process gaps or, a receptionist who wasn't so nice, or product knowledge may be an issue. But I think a paradigm shift needs to take place where the customer's experience and the customer's perception is focused on from the time they say hello. And in doing that and giving the customer the best possible experience, the likelihood of moving more units, selling more cars, increasing that top line revenue, is embedded in that positive experience with the customer.
Well, I am really excited looking out for the next year or two. I think TotalCX is perfectly positioned to where I believe there will be a lot of investments by dealer groups. First, the larger dealer groups have already started this idea of unifying the customer data and all the touch points into something called a customer data platform. And most people have been talking about the CDP as a way to improve marketing. And yes, it will, in the fact that by deduping your records, updating addresses, appending additional emails or phone numbers, you'll be able to match better on Facebook or Google. You'll be able to cut down on wasted postal mail or wasted time chasing people who are not responding to emails. But I think when I look at that, because they're smart, larger dealer groups have been working on making their marketing more efficient, I think the unification of a 360 view of the customer, is really going to move the needle financially by personalizing websites, recognizing loyalty when they call, greeting them in a positive way when they show up, one-to-one communications that are relevant and timely. And this seems to align with your new platform. What was the trigger for you to say, hey, our previous company was really focused on telephony, and we can listen to calls and understand sentiment and activate escalations when a customer wasn't happy. And then you started to add other communication channels so the dealer could see engagement history. But now we're taking it to another level where you're going to be doing CX scoring along the customer journey. What was the pivot? What made you said, hey, this is where the future lies?
Well, to answer that, Brian, we got to go back a little bit. Historically, in the automotive space, telephone calls in a CRM, were treated as leads, and there was no place inside of a CRM where you could store and retrieve call data that didn't come from a marketing line. And when we developed our TotalTrack product, which recorded every inbound and outbound call in a dealership, there was really nowhere in the CRM for this information, to live. And to me, that's contradictory, to the charge of a CRM, which is to have all information and data, surrounding the customer 360 degrees. So overcoming, that hurdle, required us to develop some better filters so that, the sales calls or the calls that would be considered leads, would be able to be published to the CRM without inundating their lead logs or lead buckets, with all the calls that we had access to. So that kind of opened our eyes to a need in the marketplace for a broader view in terms of the impact that voice data brings to the industry. And we've always called it the heartbeat of the phone system. We always call it the heartbeat of the dealership, because the dealership can continue to operate if their chat goes down or if their website goes down. But if their phones go down, they're dead in the water. They can't sell cars, they can't answer phone calls, they can't make appointments, they can't talk to banks and get rates. The bottom just falls out. So we always knew that we were in a pivotal point, and we also knew that the value of voice in automotive was underserved. So when GA4 was on the horizon, and the voice bots, are making their debut in service to help improve customer experience, and AI technology is advanced, to the point where there's contextual understanding of voice data. Once it's translated from speech to text, a lot of the technology that we've developed that facilitates that natural language understanding is applicable to text messaging and email messages, so forth and so on. So we already had a disposition, to consume, multi-channel data with the intent of providing derivative value from a qualitative, perspective, and informing dealerships about, poor experiences and missed opportunities, so that in the moment, they're able to intervene and champion towards a more positive outcome. We always stayed away from scoring or initially scoring or grading or saying, this salesperson isn't doing a good job, or this person is doing a good job, because we didn't have a solution. So we didn't want to, be the platform that nobody wanted to use, because it always makes, points out the people who are doing, poorly. So user adoption would be impacted. And that's, why we acquired Marcom, the training company, last February. Actually, I think it was March 7th. Yeah. Last March. So that we'd have a way to help dealerships, not just identify the issues, but also help them overcome them through, training and, social science and behavior modification techniques that have been honed over the years. So we started to become, more, full cycle and full service. And that acquisition, championing towards customer interactions was a natural, next step for us.
Yeah, I see the marketplace really a little confusing over the next year. A lot of companies are coming into the marketplace saying they're a CDP. I think what they really are is marketing automation platforms that did some data consolidation and now moving upstream to add more and more data sources to really add a full picture of the customer contacts and engagements. You've made an intentional decision not to muddy the water with your CXM platform, that you're going to focus on the unification of the customer data, the scoring. You're focused on loyalty. You're focused on building experiences that are memorable. Why the hard cut? Hey, I don't want to be also activating this data for Facebook or Google or direct mail.
I think it's important, in the marketplace when you're establishing your identity, to have a specialization that you're really good at, and that's not a somewhere that you stay or that you remain. You always have to continue to evolve, push the envelope, lean past your comfort zone, et cetera. And you can't do that effectively, if you spread yourself too thin. We've just over, the 15 years of existence, we have, hundreds and hundreds of millions of hours of, recordings of customers interacting with dealerships. We have no marketing data. So for us to extend beyond that, sure, we have like tracking lines and, cost per lead, cost per appointment, but marketing is much deeper, than that. So the hard cut for us, in order to serve, the industry and serve, our dealers, we need to stay in our lane and deliver the best, that we can, accordingly.
Great. And I love the fact, by the way, that you're sticking to being a pure automotive CDP and really driving the education with dealers, using their own data of how to deliver a positive customer experience. One of the things that Interactive Tel's always had is a strong API integration set. For the vendors who are listening to today's podcast, and many do, they may be chat companies or texting companies, they may be 360, spin technologies, or some of the AI tools that are doing SMS activations based on customer state, like Impel Sales AI or Connect AI. Are you looking for other members of the tech community to directly connect in securely to your CXM so that you have a full, direct, unadulterated feed of customer contact data instead of just relying on the CRM?
I mean, absolutely. I think it's incumbent upon them to do so. And the same is true for us. At the end of the day, the data belongs to the dealer, and who are we as vendors to tell dealers who they can and can't use? I think those days are over, and I think for a lot of vendors, minds are changing in terms of being more open and willing, to integrate. There isn't a vendor, in this place, in our space, that would have a dealer that we would say, no, we won't integrate with you.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, listen, I think the future in this race of unifying customer data is the platforms that are the most open and the most collaborative. Because Gary, right? You could be working with a large dealer group over here, and their tech stack is different than another. Somebody has to be wearing the crown of the most secure but open platform to allow dealers to have a true unified set of data for each customer. Do you agree?
And as the large dealership groups, that are helping to facilitate, this change in mindset. At NADA, we had a competing company. Their CEO came to meet with me at our booth, and it was because of their client, which is one of the I'd say the top five largest dealership groups in the U.S. They don't want to lose them. So in order to not lose them, they need to be more open. And that's what they came to talk about, was integration, because we do things differently than they do. And, that group likes some of the things that they do, and they like some of the things that we do. So it's incumbent upon us as vendors to provide the same customer experience that I'm preaching about, for dealers to consumers, for us as vendors to auto retailers. We need to treat our dealers like gold as a vendor community, and innovate according to their needs and their desires.
Amen to that. I wish everyone had that same opinion, Gary. Let's talk about the rollout of the CXM platform for dealer groups. I think this is a no-brainer that they need to allocate budget for unification of their data, all their customer contact, all their engagements. So let's talk about that. When will the platform be available for dealers, to, line up and roll up?
Pessimistically, we're probably looking around September. But there's a lot of things that could impact, that date. And by far and by large, the biggest obstacle is informing, the market, informing the dealer communities, because it's a change, it's a paradigm change. Today, to use a CXM properly, and as we envision it, and as we'll continue to have those discussions with our circle of dealers that we work with in terms of product development and such. But there isn't a role in the dealership today that would champion this platform. So there's a bit of a shift, because again, most dealerships work backwards from outcomes to causation, whereas we're advocating for starting with the best possible opportunity to have a positive outcome by focusing on the value-based needs of the customer. And that's foreign. I mean, there's a lot of words there, and I don't know that everyone knows what they mean. And that's what we have to do, prerequisite to launching a platform is having consensus around, what it means to provide a positive customer experience. It isn't just being nice and cordial. It's understanding why a person wants to buy a car. And there are reasons, and speaking to those reasons and acknowledging them and letting them know that they're not, just an up.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, I couldn't be more excited to see what you're working to bring to the automotive retail industry to transform customer experience, loyalty, understanding sentiment, understand the needs of the customers. These tools are absolutely used outside of automotive. And when I look at the landscape, there are very few automotive specific CDP players. There are big CDPs that work, with Fortune 1000 companies. And then we have a lot of these CDP MAPs. They're focused on data unification and marketing. You're staying clean And I'm really excited to see what that focus will yield when your goal is creating a single platform that is vendor agnostic, that can unify all the customer data into one place. Gary, if a dealer wanted to learn more about your paradigm for the future of automotive retail with data first mindset, customer experience focused mindset, what's the best website for them to go to?
That would be totalcx.com. There's not a lot of information, there for this initiative presently, and that's, strategic. But by reaching out, either through a form fill or a call, would be more than happy, to have a more in-depth discussion. But we'll be doing more to inform the marketplace and through video and podcasts, et cetera.
Great. Well, everyone who's listening to today's podcast from the dealer community should know that the team from TotalCX will be at the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference in Austin. That's May 21, 22, 23. For 10 years, we did it in Napa Valley, but we wanted more people to come out, more access for dealers, and Austin is an amazing city. I want to encourage you that first-party data management, improving customer experience is a very important evolutionary move in automotive retail. And at DMSC, we're going to have the first CDP showcase. We are going to have a number of the leading companies speak about this. We're going to be talking with data enhancement companies, data privacy companies. We're going to be really diving into what is fact and fiction, what is safe and what is not when it comes to best practices in first-party data management. So I want to encourage you to go to digitalmarketingstrategies.org and book your tickets. And since you're listening to this podcast, you could use the code FOMO, F-O-M-O 200, save $200 on your ticket. And I know, Gary, you're going to be also sending out emails to your clients to encourage them to come. This is a major step in the evolution of automotive retail, and TotalCX is part of the icebreakers, the people who will bring real change to the customer experience in automotive. I want to thank everyone who's listening in today. You should know that there are dozens of interviews from industry leaders, disruptors, and visionaries focused on making automotive retail more profitable, more exciting to work at, and better for our customers. So you can go to brianpash.libsyn, that's libsyn.com, or just search on the Apple Podcast Player or Google Play or SoundCloud, the Brian Pash Podcast. You'll see them there and listen to these great episodes, especially this new series on the road to DMSC in May in Austin, Texas. Gary, thanks so much for being a leader. Thanks for taking a risk. Just promise me you'll keep in touch when we can see some more customer-facing examples of what this platform is doing.
Absolutely. You'll have first speak, Brian.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gary. Thanks, everyone. And I'll catch you next time on another podcast interview.